Okay, here with the nationally recognized but locally important Matt Vasgersian. How do I get my voice to sound like yours, by the way?
You can do better. Pick a better role model.
Great pipes, very distinguished voice among baseball, not just the actual voice, but your thoughts and commentary and play-by-play, very much admired. So let's talk about the Oakland A's coming off a 50-112 season, worst in Oakland franchise history. At the same point, I think last year they identified some pieces, maybe some cornerstones of the future. What do you see their trajectory immediately moving forward?
You know, the best comp that I can make for that is within the A's family, right? I mean, things got pretty bad between the Finley free era exodus and Billy Ball. And those were the teams that I kind of cut my teeth on, right? I think I'll credit my colleague Bob Costas with this line. The team you watched when you were 11 years old is the team by which you'll hold all others. And when I was 11, the A's were not very good. It was 78, 79. Vita was the only guy kind of hanging around. We were before Murphy, Henderson, and Armas. So the current group of young A's that haven't really resonated nationally, that didn't win very many games last year, maybe there's a little hope for that group to resonate locally and have a better year in 2024. It can't be any worse.
I see where you're going with that. When I was 11, the A's had just finished 88, 89, 90, so it didn't get better. I know what you're saying, but it had just been really good. By the way, Campo, Castro Valley.
Yeah, here we go.
Small world. What are we doing here in Nashville?
That's right.
Okay, let's move on to this because it is the elephant in the room, or the elephant in Las Vegas, however you want to put it. There's a lot of questions surrounding 2025 already for the A's. They don't have any players under contract as of yet. They have a manager, but they also don't have a home stadium. What's the national perspective on what's been approved by Major League Baseball that the A's can go to Las Vegas if they can make it work?
You know, the national perspective is that of questions for the short term, and people seem comfortable with this in the long term. Probably more comfortable than I am.
Yeah.
The fact that the Raiders have moved there and have filled the stadium, and that everybody loves Allegiant, the fact that the Golden Knights are really good early in their franchise history, I think it gives everybody the idea that Vegas is this fertile pro sports environment that's willing and able to host all four major sports in North America. I might be a little bit more skeptical as to endorse that thought, but I think nationally people feel like Vegas is an emerging market for sports and that baseball makes sense to them there. I still have my own questions, but apparently smarter people than I have answered those questions. And I'll even say this. I recently rewatched for the millionth time Ken Burns' baseball documentary, and I was really struck at the passage in the film where he documents the Dodgers leaving Brooklyn and the pain in the community and how population bases were shifting, socioeconomic bases were shifting. And you could have taken out Brooklyn Dodgers and inserted Oakland A's, and the script would have made sense in a sad way for me as an Oakland A's fan. But I don't know, I almost went to bed that night feeling a little less aggravated about this situation than I had previously.
Yeah. You obviously have the national perspective, but I think you're speaking to the local understanding of what the community in Northern California, Oakland specifically, is going through. Do you think the national media that covers this, they're aware of the big picture details? You mentioned a lot of the questions and a lot of the intimate details. Do you think they really have a grasp on all of the small things that make a big difference in this deal?
No, I really don't.
They report on it, but I'm not sure they really are in the weeds.
I don't think they're in the weeds. I don't think the national media is that interested in being in the weeds in this story because it's a can that's been kicked down the road so many times.
Right.
There's a little bit of like, I'll believe it when I see it.
Or maybe also, let's get this over with. And that doesn't mean the best thing and the right thing are the same thing. I mean, there is a rush to get to a resolution on this no matter what.
Right. No, I think that's accurate as well. But look, there have been discussions about the A's leaving Oakland cyclically every 4 or 5 years for my entire adult lifetime. In 78 and 79 when things were bleak, when Charlie Finley was looking for relief, thank goodness that the Haas family came along and made the A's the vanguard brand in the American League for the better part of a decade. We're not that far. That's what drives me nuts about the Oakland conversation. We're not that far away, time-wise. from Oakland being the center of the American League. From a business operations standpoint, as documented in the great book, Goodbye Oakland, written by Dave Newhouse and Andy Dolich, which I just finished, which is fantastic. It's such a great love letter to Oakland. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, maybe I'm an old guy. I am 56, and I'm processing it incorrectly.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't feel like that long ago to me.
What we've even witnessed in recent years, I mean, you're talking about generations prior of different A's iterations and teams. Even the group that was together 2018, 19, 20, and into 21, the Chapmans, the Olsons, Marcus Semien just won a World Series with the Rangers. So did Jonah Heim. Remember, he was an
Sure.
A too. And the list can go on and on. Does it make sense even in reverse, the flipping of the team over and over? I mean, at some point the A's got famous for that. You know, the movie came out. But I think even this last time around hurt more than any of the rest because of now ultimately where this is headed.
That's true. I think that's fair. Do they have to behave that way? I think they do.
Who else does it, though, in baseball? Who else needs to do it? They seem like they're the only ones that need to do it.
Constantly churn and flip. Tampa has probably done it. Again, the parameters are different in their market than they are in Oakland.
Yeah.
And I'll also push back gently on the whole Oakland, quote, small market thing. They're a part of the fourth biggest market in the country.
Right.
So that I don't hear that.
They share it, but to your point, it's also not just the Bay Area, which I think people get wrong. I mean, there are A's fans in the North Bay. Sacramento's not that far a drive. Monterey's not that far to the south. So it has other markets even around it where, obviously, A's and Giants fans do exist.
Right.
So.
You know, a lot of this, too, and I know you've probably talked about this ad nauseum, when the Giants were on the verge of heading to St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
And A's ownership at the time very generously said, you can have San Jose as part of your territory. Can we get some of that same love now? Hey, Giants, this is your chance to pay it back.
You know, it was supposed to revert if the Giants didn't build in Santa Clara County. It was legally supposed to revert. It just never...
Well, and how did that not happen?
It just was never recognized that way by baseball. It was never understood. They've gone back and gone to the city council meeting agenda and notes to say that, oh, there it is. And nobody just ever kind of followed suit on that. So kind of interesting. Looking at the free agent market right now for the A's, and obviously they probably weren't going to be terribly active anyway, but David Forst even last night told us that he's had a really hard time getting any veteran to buy in to a 2-year situation because year 2, there's a lot of questions about it. Does that make sense from his perspective? And you would guess that would be the case?
It does. The challenges that they're facing there, and these are baseball operations guys that are really good, man.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Yeah.
And the challenges that he's been kind of put on are significant. And if you're a free agent that considers that 2-year deal with the A's, I don't know what else was out there for you.
Right.
And I hate to say that.
So it's a real proving ground type deal. This might be your role that if you pass on this one, what else might be out there?
That might be in the minds of certain free agents, but I would also see it as a huge opportunity for somebody that needs a canvas. Like, look, there are only a certain number of teams. There's only X number of jobs in this field. If you want to keep playing at the big league level, why wouldn't you consider playing in Oakland and getting some attention as a veteran, good player? I mean, it really is a good opportunity for somebody.
I want to talk about 2 individuals that are friends of us. Actually, you know what? Ron Washington. Let's throw him into this conversation. Okay. Wash, Stephen Vogt, Bob Melvin, all with new manager jobs across baseball. Now, Wash and Bo Mel, no surprise, they've been in that game for a while. But let's start with maybe Stephen Vogt. Fan favorite for us in the clubhouse. Fans love him. Players love him. This is really special, and stepping in Terry Francona's shoes.
Yeah, big shoes for sure. Steve, when he retired, was at MLB Network for about a week.
I remember that.
Right, kicking the tires on TV.
I was a little jealous, I'm not going to lie. You don't know how many years I spent trying to...
Get him on your side?
Didn't work.
Well, I think he wanted to see what it was like, and as was the case with a number of prominent ex-A's who dabbled in TV, we pushed him away. We did the same thing to Eric Chavez, by the way.
Yeah.
Eric Chavez was like, I'm going to try TV.
Chavez belongs in actual baseball
for sure.
Yeah.
They had him on the set for 4 hours during the postseason at one point. There were no breaks. Nobody brought him food. And at the end of his 4-hour shift, he's like, I think I'm going to play again. And he played another 4 years. But for Vogt, he was around for a short time and told a few people, including myself, this is cool, but I think I want to manage.
Yeah. He told me that
okay,
too.
right?
Yeah.
So then he gets the bullpen job in Seattle.
Yep.
Near
his family.
Near his family. And he's got a gig now.
Yeah.
He's the man.
Yeah.
A high-profile gig. I don't think anybody that's ever been around him doesn't think it's a perfect fit.
Yeah.
And I saw Jed Lowry rolling around here yesterday.
Yep.
He was thrilled for the opportunity. Voter's going to be great. That whole group, like the A's tree, it's not only players, to your point, but all these great A's coaches that are out there managing now.
Yeah.
Wash getting another bite at the apple, richly deserved. Bob Melvin, of course, we're all long fans of his work.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it's a fraternity. I don't know if that's the most appropriate word, but it does feel like that. Last thing for you, we're here in Nashville. Our good friend Dave Stewart is really trying to get the wheels moving on an expansion baseball team here in this city. From all accounts, it seems like people would agree, and winter meetings are here. Baseball doesn't mind coming here. What are your thoughts on potentially someday having a Major League Baseball team here in Nashville?
I think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
When and how, I have no details on.
Yeah.
In fact, I tried to ask Stu about that this morning, and he said, if I tell you, I'd have to kill you. And I believed him.
Yeah, don't mess with that.
And I know about his
Don't mess with
jiu-jitsu
that, buddy.
background, too, so there was no chance I was going to press him on it. And I think Major League Baseball, I'm not speaking as an oracle for Major League Baseball here, but I think they would like to keep Nashville as a pure expansion market as opposed to a relocation market.
Yes.
That would mean they need a sister market someplace. We got to come in two at a time. Does that mean baseball goes back to Montreal? Does that mean that we hear the endless Charlotte conversation again?
Let me stop you.
Yeah.
Oakland?
Wow. I mean, they'd have to fight the bees.
The baller. You're aware of the Oakland Ballers?
I'm aware of the Ballers.
Wow, you don't miss a thing. So,
Oakland
you haven't thought about that?
I have not. That's fascinating. Then we're getting into a Cleveland Browns type discussion where
there's precedent. How about this? When the Kansas City A's moved to Oakland, that's why the Royals exist.
Okay, so you're talking about a start over then, a new team, and then what happens with the old A's record book? Is it still the A's?
That's where it gets messy. I'm just saying, as a suitable Major League replacement in the East Bay, to your point, a market that could use it.
You have really opened up Pandora's box in my brain here.
You want to come back later after you think about this for a while?
I'm frying now with all this. Goodness.
This is what happens in my head every day. Anyway, all right. Well, I'll take it that you're open to it, but maybe it requires a lot of thought.
It's fascinating. It's really a fascinating topic. I hadn't thought about that. And what would you do with the brand? Would the Vegas team prefer something new?
Las Vegas probably would prefer a fresh start, name and image, but the A's want to keep what they've had since 1900, right? So I understand that.
Wow.
And I think the people in Oakland have gone through so much with the team, the name, the brand, and they love it.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it would be a deal breaker for them if something new came in and it was theirs to keep.
Among the ex-players, can I ask you a question
Absolutely.
now? Among the ex-players you have access to, and there are a ton of them.
Yeah.
Guys that I grew up watching, that you grew up watching.
Yeah.
Who has the strongest feelings for this? Are they guys from the World Series team? Are they guys from the 70s? Is it any Billy Ball guys? Does Shooty care about what's going on?
Shooty. Oh, boy. Of course. Everybody does. Everybody's got a close and personal connection to it, some more than others. I feel uncomfortable to mention his name. But there is somebody part of the 89 team, let's say, who feels very passionately that he does not want to see this team relocate, and the process and the things that have gone on to get us to this point just don't seem right. They don't seem transparent. They don't seem like they've been done in good faith. So I don't want to mention his name.
Okay.
And there are others that feel, to certain degrees, they're just not satisfied with this. But there is one person I can think of absolutely right now who is not quotable. He remains to not quote on this because he knows his feelings will take over and it might go overboard. So yeah.
Got it. That's
you asked me a question.
Fair response.
What an honor.
I'm just super curious about this story, as we all seem to be, those of us that care about the team.
Yeah. I really appreciate the time. Keep up the great work. I'll be watching.
You got it. We'll be watching you guys.
All right.
Thanks.